Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. So inshallah we are going to finish tonight the last chapter of Book of Fasting, As-Sawm. And it is actually, you can say, a crucial moment to realize that everything we need to do in our life needs knowledge. Needs what? Knowledge. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fasting, praying, Hajj, Umrah, Hajj and Umrah, all of these things, all of these ibadat, all these acts of worship, we need to know the details of the ibadat and what makes our ibadah acceptable, inshallah. What makes our ibadah nullified to avoid it, right? So, and this is a point, like, if you look to the condition of the ummah, you can say many of Muslims, they only care about the ibadat, but they don't care much about learning how to perform the ibadat. Like you might see, most of Muslims are getting ready to fast, right? But who and how many of them try his best to get ready to seek knowledge before fasting, to know the rulings, ahkam of fasting? How can we master, how can we perfect our fasting? How can we fast the same way that the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba did, right? Because of that, we said, and we will keep saying that knowledge is the first step, my dear brothers. First step to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah commanded in the Quran, فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. You have to know that there is no God but Allah. Which means before you worship God, before you worship Allah, before you worship your Lord, your Creator, we need to know who is our Creator. What is His qualities, right or wrong? Fasting, we're almost there. Ramadan is almost there, actually, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, and sometimes, like, people go to Hajj, they have the crave to go to Hajj, they long for that, right? But you go there and you see how many people are involved in a lot of bid'ah, innovations, or ignorance. Why? Because they prepared everything. Financially, no, they are like prepared. Physically, they are prepared. But when it comes to the education, the knowledge, most of them, or many of them are not prepared for that. Just to be to the point, the last chapter of this book of fasting, Sheikh Hafidhahullah, Sheikh Al-Fawzan, he said in this chapter, باب ما يلزم من أفطر لكبر أو مرض. What is required and what will be required from those who break their fasting, from those who break their fast due to illness or old age. Due to illness or old age. What should they do? This like might be their fathers, our fathers, our mothers, so we need to know. We need to let them know. When you know now, they said zakatul ilmi. Zakatul ilmi what? تبليغه. زكاة العلم تبليغه. The zakah of the knowledge is to convey it, is to deliver it, is to spread it, right? So when you know, don't keep it for yourself. Go and share that with your family, with your uncles, with your with your aunts, right? Uh, with your relatives. Let them know what are the ruling. Some people, I went to the hospital one day and I saw a person. He's a good person. He's sick. They asked his wife. She was like next to him. Her husband, he wasn't in coma. He was conscious. He was a conscious person. And I said to her, "Did he pray or does he pray?" She said, "No, he cannot pray." I said, "Who said that to you?" The duration of him staying in the hospital, he never prayed. Why? He had to pray, right? He had to pray, even if he's sick, right or wrong. So, so can you just come here, please? Come here, please. Yeah. So, and this is the point. He's a good person. He used to pray before he got sick. He got sick, but when he got sick, he didn't know what to do. His wife didn't know. They thought it's okay. He's excused. Why he's not excused? Right? So let's talk about Psalm now. The last chapter, guys, we said inshallah, whoever watched it, the whole book, even the videos, right? He's gonna inshallah give the certificate maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow, inshallah, certificate will be given. So if you didn't, we're gonna only ask. We trust you, right? Because you are inshallah, you are students of knowledge, right? So we trust you. Whoever says I watched the whole book, the whole chapter, the whole sessions, right? Inshallah, he will be given the certificate right away. He said here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed the obligation of fasting of Ramadan on Muslims. It is to be performed when there is no legal excuse. Yet, unperformed fasting days of Ramadan are to be made up for other days, right? Or on other days, has to be made up other days. He said here, with regard to those having legal excuses, but there is a third type here, namely those who can neither perform fasting nor make up for it. Of course, we spoke before about those who travel, who have a disease, but it's not chronic disease. So they have hope to get cured, right? So those we mentioned them before, we said they have to do what after Ramadan? To make up the missed days, right? But now we're talking about those who cannot fast at all. Like there is no hope for them to get cured, or there is no hope for them to get other chance to fast. What should they do? What should they do? Like those elderly who cannot fast. Not any elderly actually. The elderly who cannot fast. You might see a person who is 70 years old. Inshallah, he's stronger than you, and you are 30 years old. Right or wrong? Right. And he's so healthy. So being an old person alone is not an excuse for you to break your fast unless you're not able to do that. Right? So it is a potential for a person to be unable, but by default is not an excuse. You got it? Okay. So he said here, with regards to those category of people, he said such as those advanced in years and those who are hopelessly sick, like they don't have any hope to get shifa, right? What should they do? He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieves them from fasting. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded them to feed a poor person for each day that they break, or for each unperformed fasting day instead. They are to provide half a sa' of food for each day. Right? Now, what should they do now? For each day, feed one poor person. You got it?
One per person.
Per each day,
For each day, okay.
right? So can that person actually feed the 30 people together?
No. According to this,
Why did you say no?
well, you said per day.
I said to feed one poor person per day. I didn't say every day.
Oh, okay. So then,
Okay?
yeah,
Per
then,
day means so Anas radiallahu anhu, when he got old, he wasn't able to fast. So he used to do it. He used to gather 30 poor people at once and feed all of them.
How many times has to feed? Whole day or one time?
To give them at least everyone to get, you can give them like uncooked food, like one half a saw. We said saw before equals
it's like 2 handfuls,
saw is 4 handfuls.
4 handfuls.
So half a saw is 2 handfuls, right? Almost like you can say like if you two, of course 2 mud, yes, 2 mud, right? 2 mud. So mud is 1 handful, right? Uh, so maybe half what do you call, half a kilogram, or even like something like that, right? Close to that, right? Of rice, of any food. But if also you want to make like food for them, you will prepare food for them and make like a banquet for them to come and eat, right? To invite all of them, it's okay. Inshallah, it's okay, right? To feed them.
What about money? Can you get the money?
No, because Allah didn't say that. Allah said in Quran, huh? وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين. طعام مسكين. طعام, food. I said food, right? When you say food, people say, what about money? When you say money, can I buy food? People are very obsessed to go against, subhanallah, in Zakat al-Fitr. I'm going to come, inshallah, Zakat al-Fitr. We say, the Prophet ﷺ said, namely, he mentioned food. He said, how much of it? 1 saw now. Now we said this half a saw per each person, right? Per person. Said for Zakat al-Fitr, have to give out 1 saw of what? Of tamr, dates, of any food that, the common food that can be saved, can be, right? They said the perishable,
Non-perishable.
non-perishable food, right? Like dates, like rice even, right? You can do that. You find people come to ask, can I give money? The Prophet ﷺ said what? Give food, right? And he said, زكاة الفطر طعمة للمساكين طهرة للصائم وطعمة للمساكين. طهرة للصائم means a purification for the fasting person and a means of feeding the poor. The poor. So when you give them, you have to feed them. You give him money. Can you give him money too? Yes, give him money, but give him food. You have to give the zakat al-fitr. Give him 1 saw. When you give him money after that, it's okay. But now the point is, we speak about the sawm now. You have to feed them. You have to feed. Alright? Because Allah, that's what Allah said in the Quran. وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين. And Allah also said, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So this is a ruling. This is a ruling. Anybody, any Muslim who cannot do any act of worship cannot. He is not able to do it, right? And who can say that? The doctors, the physicians, the one who is experienced, who is expert in that, right? The one who is expert, who is like a doctor. Nobody can say, I don't feel like able to do that. It's not like you don't feel it, right? Or you're like so thirsty. No. Have to understand that whoever cannot do it, he doesn't have the physical ability to do it. He would get sick. He would get sick if he does it, if he fasts. Or if he is sick already, his sickness might increase. might get aggravated. So now we say to him, don't fast, right? But sometimes people are sick, but the fasting is not going to affect on his sickness, right? You got it? So there's nothing to do with food in his actual sickness. So not any kind of disease allows people to go and break their fasting. No. It's supposed to be something related and has to do with his disease. And who can be questioned about that? The physicians, right? Huh? Those who are expert. They can say, yes, if you fast, especially if they're Muslims, right? If you fast, right, it will affect on you. It will affect badly on you, right? It will make you, it will make you, what you call, get sick and so on and so forth. Because Allah said in the Quran, Allah doesn't charge a soul except with that within its capacity, right? And also Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah said, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ, means, and upon those who are able to fast but with hardship, a ransom as substitute of feeding a poor person. Feeding now, he said feeding, right? Not money. And then he said here, قال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما هي للكبير الذي لا يستطيع الصوم رواه البخاري. Ibn Abbas, he mentioned this verse and he said the meaning of it, the interpretation of this verse that we mentioned now refers to those old men and women, listen, who are too old to fast, who cannot fast, right? Who cannot fast. Even he said who cannot fast. They should feed one poor person for each unperformed day of fasting. Actually, he said the verse refers to those old men and women who are not able to fast. Not are too old to fast. Are not able to fast. This is actually the right translation. Because he said, الذي لا يستطيع الصوم. They are not able to fast. He said also, as for hopelessly sick people, like those who have chronic disease. But here again, chronic disease has to do with what? With what? It's fasting. This one has a chronic disease, but there's nothing actually to affect on his fasting, right? Or sorry, his fasting is not going to affect on that. So he also has to fast. He said here, the ruling will be the same as that applied in the case of aged people, right? They are to feed one poor person for each unperformed day of fasting. So now we have two categories of people: those who are sick, but which kind of sickness?
Hopelessly sick.
Hopelessly means what? Chronic disease.
Chronic disease
And
that
has to do with
affects their fasting.
affects their fasting. These two conditions, or those who are too old to the point that they cannot fast. Okay.
Well, when you say they're too old, they cannot fast. I don't understand that. What do you mean?
A person is too old out of the old age. The old age requires him to eat or to drink all
Otherwise
the
he'll
time.
die.
Otherwise, he would get sick. He's not sick now, but that will affect he will that will lead him to get sick. That will cause him to get sick.
Depends on their physical.
Yes, yeah, inshallah. So that will lead him to get sick. You can find two people the same age, one of them cannot fast and the other can. Right or wrong?
Yeah.
So clear. So being elderly is not by default a reason or an excuse for you to break your fast. This should be clear. And he said here about among those who break their fasting due to a legal excuse are travelers, sick people whose recovery is expected. Right? So the other two kinds of people: the travelers and those who have hope to get cured, to get shifa, who are sick. And also pregnant or breastfeeding women who is fasting, listen carefully, might harm them or their babies. A very important point here. Like pregnant and breastfeeding, Do they have the right to break their fast or not?
Yeah.
You said yes.
No,
What
only
did you
if-
say?
I was gonna say only if it's gonna affect the child.
Barakallah fiqh. No, only if it's gonna affect them or their babies, both. But again, by default, sometimes people think, okay, she's a pregnant, okay, I'm not gonna fast. Why? I'm pregnant. Who said that to you? Who said that to you? You have to fast unless you fear. Again, who can judge? Physicians, doctor. Who can judge that you're gonna, have to? Because you might feel like hardship, like anybody, like you, huh? When you fasting, sometimes you feel like kind of hardship, right? Right or wrong? Normal, like bearable, right? But if it's something unbearable, like and unaffordable, so now she has to do it. Okay, now she has an option, or it's gonna affect or harm her baby. So now she also has to break her fast. But by default, she cannot say, I'm pregnant, a pregnant woman, I'm breastfeeding woman, so it's okay for me, I'm gonna fast this month. No. Ibn Abbas, what he said here, is so important actually for our sisters to know that.
Well,
Right?
most of the time in this country, when our sister mothers go to the doctor, when they're pregnant, and when they tell the doctor, look, I'm pregnant, can I be fasting? Most of the doctors say, no, you cannot fast.
Because of that,
Because
he's mentioning a very important point. He said in this country, where most of physicians are not Muslims, whenever a Muslim woman goes to them, asking them, of course, that they would say, no, 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 don't fast. Why? They're not Muslims. So we say you have to ask a trustworthy person who is a Muslim person who knows actually would that affect on you or not. That take it into consideration, taking your suhoor before Fajr, right? Right? Staying hydrated like before Fajr during the whole night, and when it comes to the Maghrib, you eat. So the Muslims actually, the Muslims physicians, they know actually if they're gonna affect or on you or not. But if someone doesn't care, he wouldn't lose anything to say, yeah, go and eat. Right? Eat and drink is not gonna. So here again, you can say, okay, it is affordable or not. Something she can bear it or not. Right? Yeah.
Well,
So
I have another question, but I'll ask at the end.
okay. So now he said here, but as for those who travel and those who have, now we mentioned how many categories? The travelers,
Traveling, pregnant.
those who have hope to get cured, the pregnant, breastfeeding women, right? He said what here?
And
He said,
postnatal bleeding.
those and breastfeeding women whose fasting might harm them.
Whether-
What? Okay, let's like now differentiate between two things here. The travelers, right? In order to give them the excuse to break their fast, is there any other condition require from them alongside the travel to be given the excuse?
No, I don't think so.
Or only being a traveler is enough for you to get the Alhamdulillah. Or only being a traveler is an enough excuse for you to break your fast.
I believe
What do you say?
being a traveler is enough of an excuse. It's a choice.
Even if you are not in need of food
Yes.
while you are traveling?
Correct.
Huh? I'm asking.
Like I'm traveling, I could fasting, no problem. Right?
You're traveling and you're okay, you're not feeling any hardship.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying can you. Do you have to fast or you still have an option?
Depend on the
I
situation.
have to fast.
Depend
You
on
have
the-
to fast?
No, you have an option.
Huh?
I don't have to.
You didn't have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Depend on the situation, like
Situation.
how bad is your,
Okay. Now, being a traveler is enough for you to enjoy the rukhsa, the excuse, right? Is enough. Huh? Whether you travel by camel or by airplane or by car, it doesn't matter because the reason is you are traveling, right?
Musafir.
Yeah, musafir. That's it. So you can't fast, you can break your fast.
I can't travel by camel.
Right?
What's
So
the distance for the Musafir, like?
we're going to mention the distance before. I will mention that before
Yeah,
also.
that was
Right?
another.
Musafir is musafir, the one who is, who is named musafir in his city. Like when you say I'm gonna travel, you say yes, you're traveling now, right? So and it has a distance. You have to be outside the city.
Like
Have to go
15.
outside the city, right? Outside the city at least for 27 miles. So and then we said here the pregnant, and but the pregnant breastfeeding is different now, right? So now you got the difference between the travelers and the pregnant breastfeeding. Okay, he said if they actually after they break their fast, if they do that, they have to make up. So now something else here. He said, and menstruating women or women in a state of postnatal natal bleeding also. So also they have to do it. But those they look now have to differentiate. The first category, the travelers, they have the options to,
Fast or not fast?
regardless they
Right.
are sick or they are like tired or not. They can bear it or not, right? The second category, the breastfeeding and pregnant women. They don't have the excuse to break their fast
Unless required from doctor.
unless they are not able to do it. Unless that will harm them or their babies. Right? Okay. The third category are those who have to break their fasting. They have to.
They have no choice.
Have like whom?
Right.
Menstruating women.
The menstruating women and
Postnatal.
the postnatal. They have to do it, they have to break their fasting. You got it now? Huh? They cannot fast. It's haram for them to fast.
So
By the
first-
way, some women ask, can I take kind of medication to stop the menstruation?
yes, as long as it's not permanent. As long as
We say this girl said, yes, no problem to get such medication if it's not going to harmful. If it's not going to harmful, even just to get that, because she said, okay, I want to fast the whole month. Of course, this is not recommended because that's what Allah has created women for, right? This is the nature of women, right? So Allah made it easy for them, so they shouldn't have to make it difficult on themselves, right? Allah is the most merciful. But we say, if in case a woman wants to do that, is it permissible? Yes, if it's not harmful, if it's not going to harm her, she can take a medication to stop the menstruation only for a time being and to fast the woman. Anyway, so now and then let's continue here. He said, then he said here, that is to say, they are to observe fasting on other days equal to the number of days they have broken their fasting on. But do they have to make it consecutively?
no.
They don't have to. Allah said, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. Whoever is ill or on a journey, then an equal number of other days. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 185, right? Said here, namely, let him break his fast and make up for the days he didn't fast later. Allah said in the Quran, and He mentioned the verse, يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. Allah intends for you ease and doesn't intend for you hardship. So in addition, whenever the Prophet ﷺ was given the choice of one of two matters, he would choose the easier of the two as long as it wasn't a sin. Mentioned that hadith today morning, right? Hmm? The Prophet ﷺ, he also says, as stated in the Sahih Bukhari Muslim, it's not righteousness to fast on a journey. ليس من البر الصيام في السفر. This hadith is authentic hadith, which means it's not righteousness to fast on a journey. Like, don't believe if you fast on a journey, right, while that causes you hardship is something good. You have to do what? You have to choose the easiest or the easier choice for yourself. right? How can you still fast and it is easy for you? You know why? Because you know that you would have to make up these days after Ramadan. So it might be easier for you to fast now because you fast with others. They encourage it. But maybe after Ramadan, you would be, fasting alone, right? So it might be easier for you to fast in Ramadan, not to fast after Ramadan, right? Uh, he said, consequently, if the one on a journey or the one who is ill observes fasting with difficulty, their fasting would be valid. Yet, it's not recommended. Like you're fasting, you're traveling right now, but you're sick, right? Or that gives you hardship, but you insist on fasting. Eventually, the fasting day will be okay, valid or not?
It's valid.
Valid, but it's not something actually recommended, right? Said, as for menstruating women or women in a state of postnatal bleeding, they are prohibited to perform fasting. It's haram for them to fast. And if they do, it's deemed invalid. Okay, now we mentioned this point. Okay, now as for the pregnant and breastfeeding women, he said, however, they have to make up for the fasting days they have missed on other days. Likewise, women who break their fast due to fear for their children, right, babies, are to feed a poor person means embargo, right? Huh? Are to feed a poor person for each unperformed day of fasting, right? This is actually a controversial issue, but the most correct view here, no, the pregnant and the breastfeeding women, the only, if they, as we said before, not by default, they can break their fast. Not because she's pregnant, she's not allowed to fast, right? No, she's pregnant, she's breastfeeding woman, but at the same time, she cannot fast, right? Now, so what should she do after Ramadan? Or after she gets the chance after the pregnancy, after the she had to do what she has to
Make up.
make up. Is there anything else she has to do?
She can feed the.
No, she can make it up. She has to do it.
They said there is three opinions here, right? One of them said she has to make up the days plus feeding
Feeding miskin.
poor person per each day. Plus, this is the first option, the first opinion actually. The second opinion, no. She has to feed only without fasting. The third one, which is the most correct one of them, she only has to make up for these days, and that's it. Right? To make up for these days, and that's it. Why? Because Allah didn't say anything else. Allah said, whoever has the excuse to break his fast, he has to make up for these days. That's it. So, but Ibn Abbas, he actually, this is his opinion, that he said he commanded the women who were pregnant and or breastfeeding women, and they had to break their fast. He commanded them to do what? To feed also
Makeup.
plus making up the days. Right? But this is not actually the most correct view of the three, right? Um,
Are those the different madhabs or it's just different? It's just by ijma.
It's not ijma. Still, ijma. If there's ijma, there is no any room
All right, that's true.
for any controversy, right? But it's not ijma. It's not ijma. It is still khilaf, difference among scholars. But the most correct one, based on the evidences, that it's what it's only one thing to be done, which is
For her to
making
make up.
up for days that they had to break. He said here also one more point to know the beauty of that religion. He said here ويجب الفطر على من احتاج إليه لإنقاذ من وقع في هلكة كالغريق ونحوه. He said here uh, He said here, in other words, feeding a poor person is expiation when a woman breaks her fast. In either case, yet she is obliged to make up for not performing the fast afterwards. This is something we mentioned already. Okay. Uh, See, in this connection, Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, said Ibn Abbas and some other companions have given a fatwa concerning breaking the fast by pregnant and breastfeeding women who fear, who fear harm for their children, for their embryos, right? Or for their babies who actually, what do you call, who gets the breastfeeding, right? They said they may break their fasting and feed a poor person in expiation for each fasting day they miss. Means resorting to feeding as expiation for fasting. In other words, feeding a poor person is expiation when a woman breaks her fast in either case, yet she is obliged to make up for not performing the fast afterwards. We said this opinion is not what?
It's not.
Is not the most correct one, actually, right? Only one thing she has to do, which is what? Making up for the days. He said, in fact, breaking the fast is deemed obligatory. Listen to this carefully. Obligatory for one who needs it to rescue someone in danger, such as a drowning person or the like. He said, it's wajib. Now you need to save somebody, right? And you cannot save him unless you break your fast. Like somebody's in danger. Even he's drowning, right? He's drowning in the sea and he might die. And you cannot go and save him unless you drink something to get like your strength and to regain your energy. He said it's must on you now to break your fast, to save somebody else. Right? Subhanallah. So he said this is must, is not optional. And then Ibn Qayyim said, أسباب الفطر أربعة. Ibn Qayyim said here, therefore, 4 reasons for breaking the fast. There are 4 reasons to give you the license, to give you the excuse to break your fast. First, who can say? Travel. First what? Travel. Second is, we said travel, it doesn't need anything else. Like you're traveling, regardless, you're sick, you're tired, you're not tired, you're like, first class airplane, you still have the choice. Have the choice to break your fast. Doesn't have anything to do with you're able to fast or not. You have the choice to break your fast even if you are not feeling any hardship in your travel.
Sure. Is it a choice or it's mandatory that you can break?
It's a choice. It's not mandatory.
You can.
It's better whatever is easier for you. If it's easier for you to fast, you fast. If it's easier for you to break your fast, you break your fast. Right? But I mean, it's a choice. It doesn't have anything to do with your feeling, with your tiredness. No, even if you're okay, you have the choice to break your fast. This is the first reason for breaking the fast. The second is illness. We said illness has 2 kinds, right? Either to be a chronic disease or a what do you call it? Disease, hopeful disease.
Hopeless.
Not hopeless. A chronic disease which is hopelessly disease, right? This chronic, right?
Okay.
Like you don't have hope to get cured, right? Or you have a hope to get cured. Someone is sick now, and doctor said no way for you to get cured, like based on what we know here, right? So you would have to deal with this disease till you die. It's a chronic disease. So what is the ruling here? What should he do now?
He needs to feed.
He said he needs to feed poor person
for every day
he messed up, right? The other kind of person, he's sick also, but doctor said to him, no, you will be okay. Maybe after 1-2 months, you'll be okay. You'll be able to fast after that. So now he has to wait till he gains, he recovers, and he inshallah will be able to. Now he has to make up these days. This is the second, right? The sick. What the third reason? Menstruation. Or postnatal women. Now they have to do what?
You have to make up the days.
Now they have to
Break their fast.
their fast. It's not an option now for them. Have to break their fast. Even if they can say no, I can't fast. No, it's haram to fast now. The menstruating woman haram to fast, right? Or the postnatal woman, it's haram to fast. It's prohibited to fast. Okay, and they have to make up the days after that. They have to make up the days. Can we say, okay, let's feed one person now? No, it's not right. Right? It's not, she has to make up for these days after Ramadan. And then he said the fourth categories of those who have excuse, the fearing, the woman that fear harm, that the breastfeeding woman or the pregnant woman. But not any pregnant, not any breastfeeding too, right? The pregnant should be what?
If it's going to harm the woman or the child.
She has to know from a trustworthy person again that fasting might harm her or harm her children. But if she's okay, she has to fast. Even if she is what? A pregnant. Even if she is breastfeeding woman, she has to fast, right? Because if it's okay, if it's not gonna cause her any harm, right? He said the same applies to breaking the fast to save a drowning person, as we mentioned. And then he ended by saying a Muslim should make his intention to observe obligatory fasting from the previous night. Very important now. Now you have to have intention before. Like in the Sawm, which is not Fard, you wake up in the morning, right? And you pray Fajr. After Fajr, like now is 9 o'clock, you didn't eat anything till 9 o'clock. And then you said, no, I didn't eat anything. I'm just feeling hungry. Let me fast. Right? You can do that or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, if it's not Ramadan, if it's not Fard. Ramadan, you cannot do that. Ramadan, you have to have the intention from the night
Previous
before.
night.
Before Fajr. You have to intend before Fajr too. We said intention, how to make intention?
Just in your heart.
How to make intention?
In your heart.
Don't say anything. Don't say نويت أصوم. As like we mentioned before. وبصوم غد نويت ونويت أصوم غدا. This is all of these are innovations. Don't say anything. Only Allah knows what's inside your heart. Getting suhoor, as we said, is enough. You get suhoor is also an intention, right? So of course you don't need to say any word to make an intention. And otherwise it's going to be innovation, right? Bid'ah. And he said here, so he should make his intention to observe Sawm before from the previous night, such as the fasting of Ramadan, exhibitory fasting, also any other fasting which is must upon you. You have to make the intention before.
So if you have, so for a person who would need to make up days, say they go to make them later in the year, after Ramadan, they would have to make the intention the night before.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So also if you make up the days, like for some reason you were traveling and you had to break your fast, so now after Ramadan you have to fast. But how would you fast? You have to have the intention from the night before Fajr. Because now it's what? It's an obligatory fasting. It's not optional, right? Only the optional fasting, which is the voluntary fasting, that you don't have to. The hadith, the Prophet one day he went to his wives and he asked, do you have any food? Of course it was like in the morning. She said, no, I don't have any food today. She said, فَإِنِّي إِذًا صَائِمٌ. So I'm going to fast. And he intended fasting from the middle of the day. The middle of the day, right? One day he was fasting. It was in Ramadan, like voluntary fasting. And he went to his wife and he asked. And she said, he didn't ask. She said, Ya Rasulullah, we have somebody give us a gift and this food. And he said, now can he break his fast or not?
He can if he wants to.
Yeah, and he actually has broken his fast and he ate. Even he was intended to fast before, but it was a voluntary day. Then to conclude, he said, also vow. Someone he made a vow. No vow. He said, "Oh, it's upon me to fast 3 days." This vow he has also to do what? To intend, to have the intention from the previous night. He said intention here means that one should determine to perform the month of Ramadan, right? Or to make up for the unperformed days of fasting. Also, through intention, one decides whether to perform an expiatory fasting or fast because of breaking a vow. That is because the Prophet ﷺ states, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Now, after Ramadan now, we have 6 days of Shawwal, right? Some people they ask, in these 6 days of Shawwal, can I start with them before I make up for especially for women who had to break their fast due to the menses or anything, right? So they said, can I start with these 6 days of Shawwal before I make up the missed days of Ramadan?
That's a good question.
Can they or not?
I would say yes, because Shawwal is 30 days. And
The answer is in the Hadith Aisha. She said, I used to delay the days of Ramadan that I had to break, right? Till the next Sha'ban. Till the coming Sha'ban. Subhanallah. So, and of course, she used to fast other days, right? So, scholar said yes, for the women that cannot fast after Ramadan the whole month of Shawwal, or it's going to be difficult for them to fast like 15 days. So now we can start with the 6 days of Shawwal because they have a specific time. Because other days you can fast, she can't fast any other day, right? She has the whole year. But days of Shawwal, only 6 days, they are in Shawwal only, right? And he said here, also through intention, okay, we said that, because الأعمال بالنيات, deeds are judged by what? By intention, right? He said it's also reported on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha, that she said the حديث مرفوع من لم يبيت الصيام من قبل طلوع الفجر فلا صيام له. Which means whoever, when one doesn't intend fasting before Fajr, dawn, his fasting is invalid. But don't be actually, what do you call, don't give yourself to the devil to whisper on your ears, right? Your intention doesn't need anything else. You know, tomorrow is Ramadan, that's it. Of course, you have intention to fast. You don't have to just let me sit with my own self for 5 minutes to make intention. No, you don't need to do that. Oh, let me say something. No. Allah knows tomorrow you're going to fast. Of course, that's it. Eating suhoor, of course, it is an indication that you, of course, intend to fast. And he said here, we mentioned that. Okay. Okay, also we mentioned this also for the voluntary fasting. Actually. That's it. The only intention, the only thing that we need to do, if you're not fasting Ramadan and you wake up in the morning, the fasting would be valid unless you ate something after Fajr. Like say you ate after Fajr, or you drink something, and you said, "Oh, I want to fast this day." Can you do?
no.
No, because you ate something, right? But if you just wake up, you didn't eat anything till afternoon, from Fajr till afternoon, you didn't eat anything, and then you said, "Now it's afternoon. I'm not feeling hungry. Let me just continue fasting." Now you make intention now, right? It's not Ramadan. It's not wajib fasting. You can do it. Ramadan, you have to do that before
night
before the Fajr, right?
Before Fajr.
This is the end actually of the book of fasting. And I don't know if you have any question. You said you have a
No.
question. I'm going to keep it after we finish.
Oh, no, that's fine. You answered it.
So as for suhoor, we said suhoor doesn't have time to stop before Fajr. Like suhoor continues till Fajr times. till the Fajr time is due. Right? Say Fajr is 5 o'clock now. And you wake up like 4:50. Can you eat?
Yes.
You have 10 minutes to eat now. It's okay. You don't have to stop before suhoor, before Fajr, right? Now you can eat still, right? And make suhoor, and inshallah, this will be a Sawm with suhoor has a great reward. We mentioned the hadith before, right? Who remember the hadith? Who remember the hadith of suhoor? Who can say the hadith of suhoor?
يصلون
Huh?
إن الملائكة يصلون
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على المتسحرين. Allah and His angels, they make salah upon those who eat suhoor. And the other hadith, إن الملائكة لا يستغفرون الملائكة, they make istighfar for those who make suhoor. Right? So don't miss this suhoor. And Ramadan, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us. And we ask Allah to accept our Ramadan. Okay, just quickly.
Yeah, that's good. There are times and there are mothers, they have to taste the food before they give to the child. In Ramadan, would that break the fast?
Tasting the food doesn't break the fast. If they need, like some women, their husbands are very very tough. If the food is salty or doesn't have salt at all, it's gonna make a big deal.
Not for the husband, for the babies.
I'm just telling you,
Okay.
right? Maybe you need this also too.
Maybe cooking also, cooking because
So if there is any way to know, except that, yes, she can put it on the tip of her tongue, and then of course she has to spit it out, right? But that's gonna, because why? Because you actually do what? When you make wudu, what do? You put the water in your mouth, right? Making wudu doesn't make you break your fast, right? So yes, she can do that. Like very, she only tastes and that's it. Huh? For the baby, yeah. But if she can know that by any other way, of course, it's gonna be better, right? But that is not gonna break her fast. That's it, inshallah. Just get ready for Ramadan. Prepare your mushaf. I forgot to mention that. Prepare your mushaf. You have your own mushaf. Don't use, like, even if you use mushaf here from the masjid, keep it for yourself through the whole month. And you stop here, make a mark. I stopped here. So just continue. And this will be your mushaf till you finish, inshallah. And try to make sure that you understand at least one verse every day. Its meaning, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make Ramadan easy on us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولكم. بارك الله فيكم. شكرا لكم.
هذا ليك
Make it then.